Well, good evening, folks. I hope you're well. If not, get well soon. Um, well, censorship at its worst. I think that YouTube are turning a bit like the Gestapo. Dare I mention the word? They're turning into some form of. It's blatantly obvious what they do. It's embarrassingly obvious, actually. But there we go. Um, I'm going to tell you a little story I thought was quite humorous, but it does have a point, and it bears repeating because some of you have heard this before and some of you haven't. And I think it's something we should all remember. Because what I'm going to tell you is a trick that's played um, on British people all the time. In fact, it's a perfect deception. Perpetrated on the population of many countries. It begins like this. There's a young couple, and they want to get out of the rat race, really. And what their ideal life is a little bit like this program that used to be on TV called The Good Life, where a young couple, Felicity Kendall, I think it was one of the main actress. She was a dish at the time. They buy a sort of house / farmstead, and they go au natural. They milk their own cow for the milk. They have free-range chickens, yada yada yada, and they shun society. So there was this other young couple who wanted to do similar. So they decided to sell everything they had and bought a farmhouse, a little bit derelict, but up for a bit of a revamp. And they said, what are we going to do with this then? We've got the chickens going around and we've got a nice spread going on. We've got a few sheep, got chickens, sheep, few lambs popping out. What they decided to do was turn it into what they call a petting farm, where they would throw their farm open to the general public who'd bring their children along. So the children would have experience. Many children, for example, living in London don't get a chance to go and see farm animals or touch them or have anything to do with them, because what they learn at school in such cities is what's in books or on film, etc. Or they eat them. They don't realise, even today, a lot of kids won't know where a fillet steak will come from, or bacon. Quite frankly, they don't care. They just eat this stuff, and they wouldn't know what free range means if it bit them. So they said, we'll set up this farm, a petting farm, so the children from inner cities can come and visit and actually pet the animals and make friends with them and hold a little duckling or a little baby chicken, and you get the meaning. But they said, we're missing something. And I think, yeah, we're missing a cow. We want a cow. Let's get a cow. So they scraped all their money together and they got the advice. They realised how expensive cows were, because obviously, if they're old, they go to slaughter, or if they're young, they're producing milk. So they maintain their value quite well. So they talked it over with their friend, who said, look, I know Bill Giles down the road, the other farmer, he's got a dairy cow, quite an old girl, and she's not putting out the milk as she used to. Maybe if you give him a buzz and tell him I told you to, he'll sell you a cow, that cow, rather than, because he's quite attached to the old girl, and he'd like her to go to a nice retirement home rather than having to go to the slaughterhouse. And they said, oh, thanks very much. That's nice of you to do that for us. Off they went, and they phoned the old boy up and said, we understand from this guy that you've got a cow you're attached to, and we'd like to give it a home, and what we're planning to do. And they explained, and the farmer was genuinely pleased. Said, absolutely, what a delightful idea. do you want to come and see it? So the couple went off to see this cow. And they thought, yeah, it's bloody marvellous. It's a Frisian cow. She's lovely. She's perfect, fits the bill. Very tame, very tame. And she's not going to be too opposed to children having a go, milking her. So, yeah, perfect. Okay, the deal was struck. There we are. £500 was the asking price for the cow. Okay, well, does that include delivery to our place? Because we haven't got a, yeah, of course, I'll drop Daisy off. Let's call the cow Daisy. And I'll drop Daisy off. And, but I'd rather have, half the money now, and then I'd rather have the money. He said, well, I'll give you all the money. There you go. There's all the money. He said, I trust in you. See you on Wednesday. We'll get her bed ready. And off they're all excited, this young couple. Off they went back to their petting farm, awaiting Daisy. And come Wednesday, the couple was still very excited. And they said, wow, it's a nice day, looking out. And what time's this guy going to be turning up with our Daisy? And they said, oh, it's 11 o'clock. And it was coming up to 10 to 12, and it was a bit late. Anyway, they opened the front door after hearing a noise and saw this van with a trailer behind it, obviously a cow trailer, chugging along towards their farm. And it arrived. And I got your Daisy here, this guy said. Where do you want her? Oh, just open it up and let her come out. Got the field and the stuff ready. Come on. And they went to help. And as they lowered the back of the truck, Daisy was as dead as a rock, with her legs stuck up. Don't know when to hold her hands up, but her legs are sticking up. Dead. Sadly dead. And the farmer said, oh, whoops. And the young couple were devastated. They said, well, this isn't what we signed up for, She's dead and she's no use to us now. And, well, and the young girl was crying. She wanted this cow. And the farmer said, oh, well, if you don't want it, I'll take her back home. And the young man said, no, you won't. I want you to deliver this cow's body at the side of my barn, out of way. And the bloke said, well, the farmer said, well, what possible use is there for you to have a cow now? I'll just take her away. And I'll give you your money back. He said, no, you have the money. I'll keep the cow, even though it's dead. Dump her, the cow, on the side of my barn, out of sight. I'll deal with it myself. Farmer was like, well, okay, I've got the 500 quid, so that's safe. I'll put the cow around the side there. Excuse me. And that was done. And the farmer buggered off, scratching his head, thinking, what is that couple going to do with a rotting cow? Because it's getting warm, Well, it's not my concern. And off the farmer went. And the young girl elbowed her husband and said, what do you do that for? We could have got our money back. He said, don't worry. I have plans. I have plans. Anyway, what happened was the cow was there, dead. Legs in the air, side of the barn. Farmer had disappeared. And 3 days later, a man arrived at the farm with his children and his wife. And the young lady who owned the farm, along with this lad, said, oh, what are you here for? We're here to pick up our cow. And the girl thought, really? I'd better check with my husband. I've known nothing about this. She knew the cow in question was dead. But she said nothing. And she went, there's a couple here with a child want to see you about the cow. Oh, yes, yes, I've been expecting them. This one thought, what? What's going on? And he went up and he said, oh, you come to collect your cow. I mean, this couple that turned up to collect the cow got the trailer and everything, got the works, you know, ready to go, get Daisy out. But Daisy's dead. Anyway, the guy said, come on round, she's round the side, she's round the side. And they go round. And the young farmer whose gaff it was accompanied by a child who was there, and the father and the mother came round, and Daisy was there, legs in the air. Nothing too much changed over a period of a couple of days. And the child went, oh my God, and the couple that arrived to pick up Daisy said, oh God, she's dead. You know, we paid £50 a ticket. He said, well, it's your cow, you can have it if you like. So, well, we don't want the bloody cow. What use is it to us now? And he said, look, I understand how you feel. When I was only out a couple of hours ago and she was absolutely fine, and look, she's dead. I don't know what to say. The only thing I can do for you, quite frankly, you won fair and square. I'll give you your money back. Here's your 50 quid, your £50. Sorry about that, young lady, but, you know, so these things happen. Yes, and off she went, and they buggered off with their 50 quid refund. What the guy said to his wife was amazing, and this is the point. She said, what are you playing at? He says, well, we're not down £550. And the woman said to his wife, to her husband, said, well, what use is a dead cow that we paid 500 quid for, we've lost, and now you've given away 50 quid, so we've lost £550. A dead cow, come on, what's going on? He said, I put an advert in the paper once I realised Daisy was dead, telling people that they could own their own dairy cow and they would have a chance to win this in a raffle. And I sold 1,000 tickets at £50 a time. And I made the draw yesterday and I shouted out the results, and that they were the winners that turned up to pick Daisy up. But Daisy's dead. I know she's dead. But we're down £450, and think of the money I made selling 1,000 tickets. Now you think of the money he made selling 1,000 lottery tickets at £50 a pop. Yes. So it was a good deal, wasn't it? But all along, the farmer, the young man of the petting world, realised, shit, he was trying to keep everybody happy, but he had an overall agenda to get his money back and more some. He saw the value in that cow, didn't he? Absolutely did. But he realised that he was down 500 quid with the farmer, down 50 quid having to give a refund for the money, but think of the money he made selling 5,000 tickets, 1,000 tickets for 50 quid, sorry. So I hope you get that. I hope. Do the maths. What a bargain. Now the reason I've told you that story is that it turns a dodgy, horrible, almost to most of us an irretrievable situation into an absolute fantastic scam, doesn't it? Perpetrated on the general public, selling lottery tickets for an animal he bloody knew was a dead duck or dead cow, but he shut his trap and sold all these tickets to people who thought they were in it, even with a chance to win their very own dairy cow. And 1,000 suckers fell for it. They didn't know what they were getting into, did they? Or didn't know what had gone on behind the scenes in this guy's head. Wow, what a trick, what a fantastic thing it is when you consider that. Now, why does that relate to everyday life in the United Kingdom as I speak? And I've spent 15 minutes telling you that. So I hope you get what I'm trying to say. It's how do you turn a silk purse, a cow's, excuse the pun, a pig's ear into a silk purse. You turn an adversary into a major victory, don't you? Well, this is precisely what Theresa May is pulling on the general public of the United Kingdom with those in the cabinet of 10 Downing Street. They sold us lottery tickets, folks. They've sold us the yes vote. Yes, they did. And even Theresa May is going around saying Daisy's here for you on the end of March. Oh, really? Daisy, yes. Is it still alive, this Brexit? I wonder. Yeah, we've all got our lottery ticket. We all voted to come out. And the bitch knows it's a dead duck. Don't tell me Theresa has been selling lottery tickets to all those in Houses of Parliament that think they're in with a chance to become Brexiteers, because it ain't going to happen. Because Theresa May knows something the rest of us don't know. Because she operates just like Jimmy Savile does, at a very deep level. Because nobody that incompetent, quite frankly, can become Prime Minister of Great Britain unless somebody somewhere and some group or organisation somewhere is giving her every support, because that bitch can barely rub 2 neurons together, nerve cells, in her brain. And yet there she is, day after day, getting her way, going off to meetings, telling lies, a silver-tongued bitch. To the general public, well, maybe next week we'll have a revote and yada yada. Theresa May knows that Brexit, well, ain't gonna happen. What we perceive and want in Brexit is not going to be a Brexit we want. Because she knows the cow is dead. The rest of the UK population have no idea, and we're waving our lottery ticket. We voted to come out. And all we're going to get, we won't even get our money back for our tickets, folks. We truly won't. Ultimately, they will put it to a revote. I call it the crybaby vote. They will put, whether we Brexit or not, after all said and done, back to the people. That's what they're going to do. And then the people, being stupid, will say, it's more trouble than it's worth. Let's just stay in. And then it'll be serious. We'll be in. And Theresa May will be smiling all the way to the retirement pension. And she will go, counting her money, just as that young farmer did, selling a dead pig, a dead cow, to unsuspecting people who thought that they were getting a deal, but eventually got their money back and walked off satisfied. We've all been sold a pup thinking that we have a choice. We don't. We are lied to by people who are in the shadows. And Theresa May is an agent of the 1% gang. Make no mistake about it. She would be, if she fell in a barrel full of tits, she'd come out sucking her thumb. She's that lucky. Well, she's very lucky, because I can't understand. There's no justification. There's no thought in my mind as to why, historically, Britain can be so stupid as to allow that bitch to continue to be Prime Minister of what was once such a fantastic, fantastic nation. We were an empire. What are we now? We're the laughingstock of Europe. Europe sold us a dead cow and knew what they were doing, the same as Theresa May sold us a dead cow and knew what they were doing. Half the politicians knew it was a dead cow, and the cabinet endorsed the dead cow because they're all German Nazis. And they don't want to forget the fatherland that is out. The Germans never lost the Second World War, folks. They're still fighting it from 10 Downing Street's cabinet because they're all bloody spies. MI5, MI6, yada yada yada. Houses of Parliament does not run this country, folks. The Germans run this country. They're the ones who have sold us this lottery ticket knowing full well the cow is dead. And Theresa May is their agent. She talks a good story. Yes, I'm a Brexiteer. Is she really? May she rot in hell for the lies that she's told our people. If there was ever a case for a justifiable crucifixion in Trafalgar Square, she's got to be number one, in my opinion, for the deception and lies, because she is an agent of the Nazi National Socialist machine. And if you can't see that, I've got a great bridge that I'm planning to auction next week. I'll give details in future videos. Catch you later, folks. I'm going to see if there's any life in the old dog yet, or is it dead?